Actually, just briefly introduce yourself.
My name's Lyndon Kondrachik. I'm a student at Cal State Long Beach.
Okay. Major?
My major is computer science.
Okay. And what's your status, I guess?
Oh, I'm a senior, yeah. Graduating in May.
All right. Now, the first question is, how do you apply critical thinking in your career?
Well, I don't have much of a career to speak of so far, but a lot of critical thinking goes into actually figuring out what our career choices are going to be. I mean, it's kind of important to know that and to give yourself a competitive advantage going into a career straight from school. So, there's a lot of important questions you have to ask yourself. Like, do you want to be more of an engineer, more of a manager? And that, in itself is a problem that requires you to really be analytical about yourself, know what your strengths and skills are, and apply some problem-solving strategies in order to figure out exactly what it is you want to go to. So even, trying to figure out what your career is going to be, I think involves some critical thinking skills.
Don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on me.
Well, because you want to make good decisions, and critical thinking is really the process of making the best decision. So without critical thinking in the world, you'd have a bunch of people running around making bad decisions and ineffective decisions. And it would really be pretty chaotic. I mean, I think that critical thinking is kind of the starting point for any sort of order in the world, because order has to be, based. I mean, I guess you can have things ordered arbitrarily, but usually order has some sort of, precedence or some sort of hierarchy. And the only way to determine those things is through critical thinking and figuring out where everything goes, where things belong, and what the best thing to do is. So, yeah, without critical thinking, the world would be a pretty crazy place, I think.
All right.
I always hear that you can't use math in the real world. And you hear a lot of people that are non-math and science people saying that, oh, what's the point in taking math? I'm never going to use it. But I think that, you can live a life without using math, but some of the real interesting things that people have done who are non-technical majors or non-technical background people have involved math, like with Warren Buffett.
Mm-hmm.
How he, I always personally thought that it just seems right that if you get a bunch of money and you want to buy a house, you pay for your house outright in cash. But you can use, if you knew a little bit about finances and just knew a little bit of math, you'd realize that you can actually make more money off your home by pulling out loans on it. And that's kind of like a similar strategy to what Warren Buffett did to make his money, where he basically found low interest. He got people to give him low interest loans to leverage his investments and got more return on his initial investment. And he used that. Basically, he was using interest rates versus interest inflation in order to make non-risky but low return investments really viable. And I think that that's an interesting way to use critical thinking in order to make something that seems not intuitive. And that's where I think critical thinking really comes, shows its importance, is when things aren't intuitive. When you can't find an intuitive correct answer for something, like investing, where maybe seems like the best thing is to pay things off right away, then you need some critical thinking in order to make the best financial decision. So I think finances, that's one of the most important areas where people use critical thinking.